Vote. And if you haven't voted, tell us why you haven't voted. We need to know that. We need
No,
to
tell
help.
us why you. If you haven't voted, let us know. Let us know your address so we can come punch you in the face.
If you haven't voted, no matter where you are, we're going to come punch you in the face. So you've
No,
got
tell
to
us why you.
go and
If you
vote.
haven't voted,
And
let us know.
folks, just know there are no exceptions. There are no reasons to get out of it. You've got to vote. If you are sick and tired of what's going on in this country, then you're going to go vote, and you're going to vote responsibly. You're going to vote the right way. If you are tired of this, you're going to vote the right way. If you know that we can't do another 4 years of this, you're going to go vote. We cannot do another 4 years of this madness. And that's all that it takes is a vote. Go and vote. Go and vote. What's going on, Elle? Are you there?
Okay, I had to unmute. How are
Okay.
you?
We're good. How are
I
you?
am doing well, thank you.
Hi,
Doing
Zenia.
How
well, doing well. Hi, Kenny.
how are things in the Inland Empire?
Well, the IE is quiet. I got out first thing this morning, and there was no line. Um, and I haven't been out in the community much. I see a lot of traffic on the street, but um, I have been seeing people going in and out up at the high school, and that's where we voted. And
Okay.
so I think things are going well. I think things are going well. I know that we spread the word amongst everybody. So it's of course, individual choice, Kenny. You don't have to punch anybody in the face, I hope. I don't think they're going to admit it now. See,
Yeah.
but anyway, they should be punched because this is so critical.
Yes.
And the thing about it is, um, people are saying that some people are saying that your vote doesn't matter, especially
Oh,
in the
please.
presidential election, that your vote doesn't matter because of the electoral college. Well, they need to understand that the more people that vote, that still swings the way you want it to, you
Yeah.
know? And so we need the numbers. We still need the numbers in the states that matter. Our state isn't counted amongst them. However, it is still counted. So it's only when it's at a critical time. So right now, I'm just trying to watch and see how things are winding up on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And he's doing well. He's doing well. But the proof is in the pudding. There's a lot of ballots that have not been counted.
Yeah, that's
Those
right.
that were mailed in have not been counted. So we're not counting him out at all. But he is showing up in places that we didn't think he would, in Georgia, in other states, and so just kind of want to watch these returns come back now that we're close to some of the polls closing on the East Coast and coming in,
Yeah.
coming west. So
Right.
yeah, so it's going to be interesting to watch. But you know what? To God be the glory, because the Lord knows.
Oh,
The
we
Lord
can't do
knows we
another
need a
4 years of
change.
that. Yeah.
And no, we're
Oh no,
no,
we're
we're
not
not
going to
going to
do
do
another
another
four
four
years of that.
years.
That maggot is gone.
No,
No,
I'm
we are
telling you,
not
that
doing
is the
another four
truth.
years
So
of
no,
that.
we're we are celebrating victory.
Oh,
We are
absolutely.
celebrating.
And not
Absolutely,
a
because
moment too
yeah,
soon.
absolutely.
Not a
That's
moment
right. That's
too
right.
soon.
Praise God. That is right.
Yeah, we
Not a
can't,
moment too soon.
not
I'm
a
telling
moment too
you.
soon. If you think about it, I can't even think like that. I cannot even
I
put
know.
my
I know.
face. I can't.
No,
No,
no, no.
I can't.
There's no place. I'm gonna say this. There's no place in faith for that.
No.
Okay. And we have faith in the Lord. There is no place in faith for that. So we're not even going to imagine that, because
Oh
and
no.
I always turn to the word. You know, the Lord, when he first created, he had to imagine what a chair looked like before he said, let there be a chair. Okay. And so I may be calling it out, a little wrong, because I know he's let there be light first and all of that. But he had to imagine, he had to see it in his mind before he spoke it. So he knew what he wanted it to look like, because it came out that way when he spoke it.
Right.
And so here's the thing: we're not speaking that other person's name at all.
Oh no, we're
He's
not.
not our president.
No, we're not. No, we're
All
not.
of that to say that
No.
we're doing it according to the word. We're not even
Yes.
gonna say it.
Yeah, we don't speak those things. We
Okay.
don't speak them, because what we're doing
No, we don't.
is speaking truth to power. Okay, we are
That's
speaking
right.
truth to power.
That's
we
right.
are we are optimistic, like the song says. Kenny's gonna play "Sick and Tired." He's gonna play "Change" by the Sounds of Blacktown. That's what we're doing.
All right.
That's what we're doing,
All
and that's what
right.
we
All
believe.
right.
It's not about if, it's not about maybe, it's not about well. No, no. We know what the outcome is going to be. We know what the outcome is going
That's
to be.
right. Absolutely.
And we have to.
That's right.
We
It's called
have to.
celebrate.
We're going to celebrate. And Pat and I
Amen.
were
That's
saying
right.
earlier,
We are gonna
Pat,
celebrate.
Pat, do you have your song on? If you have your song on, join us. Because we can't think about anything other than the goodness that's going to come out of this.
What
Pat, do
song you
you have your
want?
song, the song? You got the song on, Pat?
I can get it on. What you want? What you want? I'll mix my songs up.
Biden has won. Biden has won.
Biden
Hi, Pat.
Biden has
won.
won. Biden has won.
Biden
Biden has
has
won. Joe
won.
Biden has won. Joe Biden has won. Joe Biden has won.
But you know,
Biden has
Rosanna,
won.
what you're saying about there's no place in faith, and we were just talking about that with Julia Waters. You know, all these evangelicals that support him, it's pretty astounding that they call themselves quote unquote Christians and they can support somebody like this.
Yeah.
I know.
But you know, it
I know.
shows you the depth of their corruption, you know, and who they are.
Yes.
And I think it was
Yes.
epitomized by not Franklin Graham, Junior, the evangelical that got busted with the girl recently.
Oh,
Harry Falwell Jr.
yeah, Harry Falwell.
Oh,
Harry Falwell.
Farwell. Farwell.
Harry Falwell Jr. You know, the picture with the girl with their pants unbuttoned and he had the drink in his hand. And then the subsequent, I don't know if you heard the subsequent interview where he was drunk. I mean, he was drunk as a skunk.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't hear that.
I heard that. Yeah, that was just recent. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a few months ago. I mean, he was, and these are the people who are supposed to be the epitome of Christianity.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. So you have to
True.
question that. You question that. Okay. But those are not the people that we look to for peace and solace. Those are not the ones. Because they're talking out of every opening that they have. So those are not the ones that we listen to. Okay. Those are not.
Yeah, yes, and that's true. That's true. We don't listen to them. You know, Satan, his job is to steal, kill, and destroy, and he's the great deceiver. And it says, the word of God says, in the last days, even those that are the greatest will be deceived.
Yes.
And some of these evangelists, and they claim to be great, and they claim to love the Lord, and they claim this, they claim that. The Lord tells us, you got to check the spirit with the spirit. And in your spirit, you know that's not right. You know it's not right. So there's something wrong there. So they're being either deceived or they've never had the truth in them to begin with. And the truth is the word of God. So they never had it in them. Because when the Lord said, you know, we're to love him with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength. And then the second commandment is just like the first, to love your brother. If you love your brother, you can't do that. You can't unbutton nothing, and you can't be all drunk. You can't do that. You cannot commit adultery. You can't do that. You know, it won't sit right with you.
And
not in your spirit.
And even in the caption, he wrote, you know, this was, I forget what he did, but then he said that drink wasn't a real drink; it was a prop. But if you are supposed to be, I'm not holier than thou. I'm not saying I'm better than him. I drink everything, so don't get
No,
me.
no, no, we're not saying
But
that.
yeah, but you are supposed to be this. Why are you using it, even if it's not alcohol? Why are you using a prop of
A
alcohol?
prop, exactly.
Now we all know it. That's a lie.
Exactly.
Hmm.
But why would you do that? That doesn't even make.
Hmm.
Right.
But that's what we
Yeah,
do.
because the Word of God says, turn away from the appearance of sin.
Right, right.
The appearance, because you're gonna lead somebody right down the wrong road. That's why you gotta turn away from the appearance of sin. And again, I'm like you. I'm not holier than thou. I just love the Lord. And so there's some things you just don't do when you really love the Lord. And so you don't need to have that appearance with a glass in your hand and you're gonna say, oh, that was just soda water or that was juice or something. No, nobody's that ignorant.
Mhm.
We know what you're trying to portray. And that's the thing. You are portraying the wrong thing to be a man of God, to
Yeah.
be appointed as a leader, as a prophet, as whatever he claims himself to be. That's not cool. So, I think I
Right.
got a quiet house. I heard everybody leave.
No, we're still here.
Amen. But anyway,
Folks are trying to get on and they're sending
okay.
me
No,
text messages.
He's suing the university for
oh,
firing him too.
okay.
What?
Yeah.
Well, good luck with that.
What?
Good luck with that,
He's
because I bet
suing
you
the
that
University
clause
of
says
who?
they can do it for cause.
He's suing the which
Bye.
university?
Liberty University
For what?
Mm.
for
But I
fire.
bet you they got a clause. They probably got a clause that says they can fire him for cause, whatever
Yeah.
cause they want.
And what is
So
that
good
term,
luck with that.
about your behavior?
Unbecoming.
Unbecoming behavior, and then there's
Uh-huh.
That is unbecoming
moral
behavior.
turpitude. Moral turpitude.
More, oh, please.
Yeah.
Moral.
That
That's
is
it.
unbecoming
That's
behavior.
it. All right, Kenny. That's the
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That
But,
is unbecoming.
but again, that is the epitome of white privilege.
Yeah.
How dare
And
they?
that's what we're seeing now.
True that.
White privilege. That's
Of
exactly
course.
what we're
Of
seeing.
course. Of course.
Right. And
That's
people
it.
think that because
That's
they're
it.
right. Right. And I asked the question earlier, and I'm going to continue to ask the question. Why does this impact Black folks so deeply? There's that white privilege. I'm looking at the pundits on they're not impacted. They're not impacted in the way we are. Nobody is impacted in the way that
Right.
we are. Because there's so much white privilege, and anybody that doesn't look like us gets to have the right to feel like they have privilege, because we have no privilege. We do not have any kind of privilege at all.
But like you said
But
earlier, it's because
anybody
we're not in
that
charge of our
does not
destiny.
look, what?
We're not in charge.
We're not in charge at all. We're not in charge. So nobody is impacted at the rate that we are. I don't see anybody talking about this. I see people talking about the election. Yeah, they want our guy to win. I hear that. But I don't hear anybody talking about how they've been subjected to racism. And this thing about, and forgive me, y'all, this thing about Black and brown people, no, I'm not interested in what for Black and brown people or people of color. No, no. My interest is Black folks only. Folks who are Black, who are African American. That's my thing.
And there's nothing wrong with there's nothing wrong with that, because they're concerned about themselves. Everybody's concerned about
Exactly.
be concerned about ourselves. I mean, that's
And we need to take the initiative to say we have got to concern ourselves with our plight, because we're the ones that have been struggling. We recognize the struggle after 400 years. It's working on 500 years now. And we got to continue to go through this. Here it is 2021, and we're still struggling. And we talk about it as if it were right here today, and it is right here today. And nobody is dealing with racism or institutional racism like we are. Nobody. Because I look at all of the folks that work at Beaudry, even though I haven't been to Beaudry all year, I look at them. 90% of them are Mexican. 90% of them. Look at the schools. I called all the schools in local district East. They're all Mexican.
But we've dropped
Every
out.
single one of them.
We have dropped out of society of those places. You know,
Yeah,
and part of that is our problem.
because we don't move. We don't take the position of doing anything. We don't move.
Yolanda, yeah, we don't. But the other thing too is that we have learned to accept this way of life. As
Yeah,
much as
Yeah,
we
we
do
have.
not want to admit it, we have learned to accept that things are the way they are.
Right.
And
And
we have to
all
live
this-
with it. And we have to live with it. And we don't have to live with it.
No, we don't.
You know, nobody's willing to die for the cause anymore. We don't have the leadership that we used
No,
to
we
have in the
don't.
60s, in the 50s. We don't have that leadership. And people are afraid to say anything. They're afraid if they make a little bitty squeaky noise
Mhm.
that they're going to get run over by the train, you know. So they've learned to live with it. And when
Right.
did we get there? When did we get to
That it was
we,
okay
it's
to live.
okay? Yeah, when
Yeah.
did we get there? We've
I
been
don't know.
struggling and fighting all these years, and all of a sudden, when did we get there?
Right. And I don't know, and I'm not going to say I must have been asleep because I don't do that.
No, we
But
don't sleep.
I want to know the same thing. When did we get there?
I think it
wanna-
has a lot to do with generations. And the
think so,
younger
too.
generation is come see, come saw, in a
Yeah.
sense. That's not the total, but it is the probably a high percentage of the
It
younger
is. It
generation.
is.
Yeah.
And remember, this is the generation that says we don't see colors.
Yeah. Well,
Well, how
and they've
come you don't?
also been hijacked by the whole hip hop and rap culture sort of
Right.
thing.
right.
So they've adopted that as a culture, and it has decimated our communities.
True.
You know,
True.
all the negative rap, calling women out their name, everybody's the N word, all these things, and you cannot
Yes.
listen to that stuff day in and day out and not be affected by it. And
That's right.
I watched a movie the other day, an Adam Sandler movie, who I don't like, but my nephew said, "Let's watch this." And Kevin Garnett was in it, the basketball player, and there's some basketball.
Oh.
But
Uh-huh.
everybody black in the movie was calling everybody the N word. Everything they were
God.
in. It's like, oh, come on, man. You know, they were calling Adam Sandler that. They were calling everybody, and it was, it was.
I don't know what that movie is.
It's called. It's. Don't worry about it. It's especially not a.
It's it doesn't sound like something you want to
No.
see.
No,
You wouldn't be able to sit through it. Let's put it like that. I haven't seen it.
Actually, it took me 2
Mhm.
sittings to watch it because my wife didn't want to watch. It was just so stressful halfway through. My wife said, "Turn this off." So I went back a few days later and watched the rest of it, just because I wanted to get some things. I wanted to get to the end of it, but it
Right.
wasn't a great movie or anything like it. But the whole point is that, so we're still getting these parts. We're calling each other out of our names. There's nothing. There's no redeeming social value to the parts that we're playing.
No.
Now there was a specific role for that. I get that, but everybody that was the collateral people, they had this rapper that was on there at this singing in a club. First, he started singing the song. It sounded like a regular, new wave R&B song. Then he went into rapping and the cussing and calling women all sorts of names. And it was like, oh man.
Wow.
Yeah, just absolutely. We still have to put up with this crap.
Mm-mm.
Right.
So that's kind of what happened to these younger generations as well.
Right. In some way, we have got to get that back, but that pride in our ethnicity, we've got to get it back because we never should have lost it.
Right.
And I really don't even know how to say we begin doing something like that, but we've got to start somewhere because as time goes on, we get further and further and further away from our roots, the foundation, who we are, how much power we have.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a lot of power.
We just don't know it.
We don't
We
know
don't
it.
know it. Like I
But
said
you know
earlier.
what? They know
Right.
it.
That's why
know
they
it.
keep doing to us what they're doing.
That's right.
Right.
That's
But
why
like
they
I
pumped
said-
all those negative images and the negative music into our community.
Right.
They did it with
And like
drugs.
I said earlier, what happened? We have We have massive, massive power and the lack thereof. We have power and don't know it. It's
Right.
like your finger is on fire and you don't know it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? How do you not know that you have the power? How do you not know that you have the God-given power? A black man was the first man on the planet and you don't know how much power you have?
That's right.
Because
That's
Really?
right.
we listen to the narrative. We allow them to control the narrative.
We listen to the narrative. We
And
listen.
worse than that, they believe the narrative. They don't just listen
Right.
to it; they believe it.
Yep.
Right.
And that's so sad that some of our greats that have gone on for the cause would be turning in their graves if they heard how we
Mhm.
even speak to each other.
Exactly.
And they are turning.
Mm-hmm.
They
It's
are
just
turning.
it's awful. And
Right.
then the disrespect for the elders, and we're kind of sort of called the elders, but the disrespect. Oh my goodness.
It's horrible.
It's horrible. It's horrible. And then that same word that
Horrible.
you call the girl, you call your mama the same thing. That's your
Exactly.
mother. That's your mother. How do you
Right.
call your mother a B word, or how do you do that?
They,
Right.
but it's no fathers in the home.
That's right. Let's speak the truth. That's right.
No fathers in the home, and if people want to
Mhm.
fight it, and they want to make excuses for the bad behavior, but it's no father. It's the bottom line. It's no fathers in the home. You look
That's
at all
right.
these guys in prison and these guys gang banging. They
That's
got,
right.
and that's it in a nutshell. And there's enough blame to go around on both sides. Men who don't want to step up to the job, and women who want to say things like, I'm the mama and the daddy. I don't need no man. Who runs around talking about I don't need no man?
It's definitely not nice. Not me.
Right.
But
Exactly.
I think
Right.
too that it was a well devised plan,
Yeah.
Kenny and Colette. It was a well devised plan to brainwash us from the plantation
Mm-hmm.
to this
Mm-hmm.
point. They started dividing the families. Then they took the man out the home. They took the woman and they sold her, and then she slept with the master and all of that other kind of
Right.
stuff. But
Right.
it was all a plan, because when you take that head out of the household, then
Mhm.
you've got all of this dysfunction going on.
And
Yep.
that's what we have.
We have a lot of dysfunction going on. And then you get to the workforce, and they started with burning the bra and all that other kind of stuff. And now you've got women in men's places. And I'm not saying a woman can't do, yes, she can. But the man is still the head. And we
Yes.
can't get away
Yes.
from that, because when you've got a headless body running around, you seen a chicken with his head cut off?
Okay.
Yep.
Yep. That's
Yes.
the way we look as a people,
Right.
like chickens with our heads cut off, because
Exactly.
we have no head.
And a lot of these
Exactly.
young
And
people don't believe in that. They
they
get
get
this
you.
whole patriarchal thing. Even
Mhm.
the Black Lives Matter movement, one of the things that they tout is that the fact that there's no leader.
Right.
There's no central
Mhm.
leader. Everybody's autonomous, doing what they want to do.
So
We
Right.
what
had one of the
happens
guys
then?
on a few months
Right.
ago, and I said, I went to the website to find out something. He says, well, that's not where you go to find out information. I'm like,
That's
well,
just crazy.
where am I supposed to go to find out
Wow.
information? But since they are so disjointed
Yes.
and disassociated and disorganized, they're just all over the place. Who knows what they're doing? So the guy in
Right.
Pennsylvania may be doing something
Right.
different than the guy in Michigan. So it's
Right.
a mess.
Welcome,
Right.
welcome, Dr. Harris. Welcome to the show.
Hey, how's everyone going?
We're good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking.
I like that
Very
microphone,
good.
man.
Oh, thank you. I've made some serious investments as my podcast has grown. I'm in top 100 in iTunes now, so
Wow,
I figured it's time to get serious.
Oh,
congratulations.
very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very good. Excellent. Glad you're moving right along with that. So in a minute you're going to be a podcaster and you're going to hang up your shop coat.
Lab coat. I can tell it's lab coat, not shop coat.
I'll still do both. I'll still do both. I'll still work in the hospital probably 3 to 4 times a month at a minimum.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Well, how are things going there in Houston? What's the temperature like?
It's pretty calm. Houston is one of those places where it's so diverse and people are so used to seeing people from all different places, all different parts of the world, all different lifestyles and backgrounds. And we just seem to get along, right? And there's so much Texas pride here that we are all part of a bigger whole. And I think that's the overlying theme is that we're fiercely Texan. All right. And so that bonds us together. And then the fact that we're so used to, I can't step 5 feet without seeing people from all over the world in my background and getting to know them, and they're my friends. And um, we're still very hopeful here. We're optimistic, and you know, Houston's been through a lot, so Houston strong is a real thing.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting you say that because the news is telling us a very different story about Houston. And I believe you and not the news. Although I rely on the news heavily, I'm a news, I won't say I'm a news junkie, but I rely on the news heavily. But the news is talking about the 127,000 ballots
Oh
that,
yeah.
yeah, that they were trying to get thrown out
Well, the
because
judge threw
they,
that out of court. They did not allow
yeah,
them to.
the judge did not allow that. So those ballots are going to be counted. Then it went back for
Hmm.
another judge to say something else. Then they also talked about the voting, that there was a lot of voter suppression in Houston. Then they talked about the long lines at the polls in a certain part of Houston. And if there were any long lines, it would probably be in Third Ward or Fifth Ward, okay? Because that's not going to happen out in the Woodlands. That's not going to happen out in Pasadena or Pearland or Sugarland. But so the news says all these things. But I know that Houston, I know the Texan pride. I know the
Hmm.
Texan pride, and it ain't red. I know that. So I know that Houston is the culture of Houston is very prideful. It's Texan pride. I
Hmm.
remember back in 2002 or 3, I was living in Houston and I needed some dental work. And I went to a dentist over by the Dome.
Hmm.
And as I'm sitting there in that chair and my mouth is this wide open, the dentist is telling me that he's from San Diego. He went to school in San Diego. His brother went to school there in Houston. And when he moved to Houston, he realized that when you're from Houston, everything is Houston.
Yep.
Everything is Houston. Texans are very loyal to Texas, very loyal. And he told me then that you'll never get a Texan to say anything negative or adverse about Texan, and they're very, very loyal. And I try to tell people that people say that it's so hot there, it's so muggy there, the humidity this, the humidity that. You'll never get somebody from Texas saying, I gotta go, it's too hot.
Right.
That's not gonna happen. That is
Nope.
not gonna happen because there's so many things about Texas that keeps people there
Hmm.
that they deal with the heat and the humidity and the hurricane and the snow from time to time in Dallas.
Oh, by the
So,
way, my wife went and got gas today. It was $1.93 at Costco
see,
for high
and
grade.
guess how much gas is here? $4.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay. So I completely agree with you, and I'm glad that you're giving us that kind of positive report because as I've seen 2 times on 2 separate things, people are saying California, Hawaii, and New York people do not come here. Do
Hmm.
not come to Texas. We don't want you here. go someplace else. I've seen it in 2 different places online. Do not come here. And when I read it, I went, wow,
Latinos voting in Texas, 2 million
incredible.
already voted, driven by young first-time voters, up
It's
25.
what?
Young Latinos up 25% from 2016. Latinos
Good.
voting in Texas.
I hope they're voting the right way. And Dr. Harris, you have voted already.
Yes. Yep. I went early because I knew I was going to be very busy. I just got married and there's a whole bunch of
Oh, you
other
got
stuff
married
going on.
already.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh,
Congratulations.
congratulations.
Thank
So,
you.
did
Thank
I
you.
miss the bachelor party or what?
I tell people my
always-
20s was my bachelor party.
And I'm an old man, man. It just
Your
Yeah,
20s
and
was
you know it was interesting because you know our pre-voting beat our entire 2016 total voting. So
Yep.
people were going out in droves. You know, I was out at a business meeting earlier, and everyone had on "I voted" stickers, and you know there was a lot of pride in voting. And I think
Yeah.
you know no
Yeah.
matter what side of the aisle that you stand on, I think this is encouraging because you know last couple of years turnout has been just terrible.
been dismal.
Dismal.
And I feel like people are getting their voice back and feeling like their voice matters and their opinion matters and really standing up for the future of not only themselves but of everyone around them. And I think that's what's beautiful about what I've seen in this election.
Mm-hmm. No, you're
That's
absolutely right.
great.
I voted the very first day. Was that October 3rd? Or
Yeah,
whatever,
something like
13th,
that.
whatever day.
Yeah.
I got out there the first day. I was over there 7 something in the morning, walked in and walked right out. And we had a report earlier. One of our board members logged in earlier and she said she was down in Cedar Hill area and there were no lines.
Mm-hmm.
No lines because everybody apparently has gone out so early to vote. And I mean, I've seen early voting before, but this surpassed everything. Obviously, you've seen the numbers, but people are engaged this time. So
Mm-hmm.
the silver lining to this whole past 4 years is that people have gotten engaged. Some people haven't. There are still people out there saying my vote doesn't count. I don't want to vote for the lesser of two evils. They're trying to find fault with Joe Biden and things like this, but we've got what we've got, and people do need to vote, and the people need to understand it. But I'm really pleased to see the turnout.
Yeah.
Right. And then, you know, the local elections have a lot of power, right? People overemphasize the role of the president in their everyday life,
Mhm.
right? And I look at it and say, okay, well, the president didn't lock down your local government. The president wasn't the one who was coordinating your local COVID response. You know, that's your local officials, that's your senator, that's your governor. And so a lot of times we put so much emphasis on the president because yes, they are the CEO, right? They're the public figure for the company. But our local politicians are the ones who control so much of our day-to-day activities. And so I saw a lot of people more involved in their local politics because of COVID and because they saw that, you know, you could go one city over or one county over and the laws and the rules during this time period were completely different.
Yeah.
And people are like, wait a minute, why is this? That's your local politician. And so people are now more involved in local politics as well, which, you know, on your day-to-day basis, that's what impacts most of your day-to-day life is what's happening at the local and state level.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right. And
Yeah,
a
I
lot
remember
of
that
people
they
don't
said
know.
they were doing
It's
it
not
county by
just about
county,
voting.
and so and counties here in Texas are small. They're not like California. LA County is probably 150 miles wide and about
Huge.
90 miles deep. They're small out here. When I used to drive into the office, I'd go through 3 counties just to get to the office. So they're small. So you're going to the store, and then when we go to the grocery store, we're in one county, another grocery store in another county. So one would have a mask mandate, another didn't have a mask. It was very, very confusing, and unfortunately, we did not have a top-down strategy to get everybody past this. And I think that's part of the problem why we're still in it is because it was so disjointed. There were so many different things. We're not doing anything over here. We're doing something over here. And then you've got people crossing those borders, passing things on. So
Right.
not good. But doctor, what's the latest you're seeing in your hospital with regard to COVID? I
COVID.
know that they are talking about another surge because we're getting into the flu season,
Mhm.
cold. Are you seeing anything different than what we've seen in the past few months?
Yeah, we are starting to see cases tick up again here in Texas. It's not anywhere near like it was in June, June, July. That was insane. But we are seeing an uptick. A lot of other places in the country, especially the northern places, are seeing a surge again. I haven't verified this, but my friends in New York say they're close to locking down again, not
Yeah.
letting visitors in.
Yeah.
San Francisco, I was just there a couple weeks ago, went backwards. Utah is a mess right now when it comes
Ooh,
to COVID. You hear
really?
reports out of there, and yes, if you look at the data, vitamin D is so important with COVID. And so for a lot of places, and I'm actually dropping a podcast on this tomorrow, for a lot of places above or below a certain latitude, you don't make any vitamin D from like November to February,
Oh yeah, yeah.
right? So we're getting into that time period where vitamin D levels go lower. And some people, especially as African Americans and Latinos, we need to take like 5,000 units a day just to maintain during these winter months, especially if you're up north. And
Yeah.
so, a lot of us are thinking we're having this much trouble with a respiratory virus in the summer, which that doesn't happen. I mean, when was the last time you heard about a respiratory outbreak in the summer?
Yeah.
It's like just wait for the winter to come around where we know these viruses have a much bigger impact. There's a whole bunch of different reasons why they spread more during the winter. People are in closer quarters, not outside as much. The
Yeah.
change in daylight patterns affects our immune system.
Mm.
People
Sleep
tend to
pattern.
drink more around the holidays. All of these things tend to eat worse, right? So all of these
Yeah.
things impact our immune system. And
Mm.
so I think it's going to vary again. I think a lot of places in the South that already had it pretty bad won't see such a dramatic spike again. But it will be really, really bad if we have another really bad flu season. Because I've seen a couple people who got flu and COVID together. They get really
Yeah, I've
sick
heard
really
that too.
fast.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Wow.
That
Hmm.
is crazy. Did they make it through?
Yes, but the ones that I saw, they weren't out of the hospital just yet.
Oh,
Some of these COVID people stay in the hospital for weeks, and then you throw
yeah.
in the inflammation that the flu causes with a severe case of COVID, and that's a nightmare scenario.
Oh, gosh. Oh
Mm.
my goodness. Yeah,
Wear that
that is
mask.
a nightmare.
Wash your hands. Wash your hands as much as you humanly can. Um, and stay away from people.
Stay away. Stay away. And I'm a firm believer. We talk about this a lot. I believe in the lockdown. I believe wholeheartedly in the lockdown. I think that if the entire country has a mandatory lockdown, a mandatory mask mandate, somebody will get this under control.
Mhm.
But until everybody is moving in the same direction, until the understanding is that we cannot move any further like this is just, it's scary. It's been scary for a long time, and it gets scarier because not enough people are taking it seriously. On CNN this morning, the question was, should masks be a personal, what do they call it, a personal choice? No. Should the country be mandated to wear masks? Yes, it's not a personal choice. It's something you absolutely have to do. Just like Julia from the Waters just said, they're singing in places, and that singing has germs and particles and stuff going everywhere. One person can infect 10, and those 10 infect another 10, and those 10 infect another 10, and so on and so on. That's why we have super spreaders. And how is it people aren't getting this? It just doesn't make any sense to me. It just doesn't make any sense. Do you think that we're going to find a way to get to a new normal by the first of the year? Because we're already there.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get to any semblance of a new normal until next summer. You know, you talk to a lot of my friends who work in the corporate world, you know, a lot of their offices, they're not saying we're not bringing anybody back until October. You know, that's
Ooh,
what I've heard
Mhm.
about that, you know, and there's so many things that we could do differently. You know, the vitamin D is a huge component, getting people to take vitamin D, getting people to use proper hygiene, right? To take this seriously, because you're right. A lot of people I still see posting saying, "Oh, it's all a hoax and a pandemic,"
yeah,
and I'm like,
yeah,
okay, if it's such a hoax, why don't you come on down to the hospital without any protective gear, and I'll walk you into an intubated patient's room with COVID.
yeah,
And if it's such a hoax, then if you don't believe it's real, then you'll just walk on into that room without any protective gear, won't
yeah,
you?
Mhm.
yeah.
Right?
And
And
there's
so
a
the whole rest of
sign.
the
Yep.
world,
They're gonna be like, no, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
yeah, the
Have you
whole
seen
rest
the
of the
sign
whole
where
rest
they
of the
say,
world is in on this hoax.
yeah.
So the
Have you
entire
seen
rest
the
of
Right.
the world
sign that says,
is
we're looking for good people to come to work here. If you don't, since this is a hoax, since it's a hoax, then you would not be at all afraid to clean the bed, change the bed, mop the floor, sweep the wall. You won't be afraid to do all these things, move the patient and all these things since it's such a hoax. Sign up right here.
Right.
Okay.
yeah, and so the entire rest of the world, whether it's Zimbabwe or Great
Yeah.
Britain or Russia or everybody, they are all in on this hoax to get Donald Trump out. So
Yeah.
this
And
coordinated hoax.
231,000 people have lost their
Mhm.
lives
Well,
to a hoax.
people on the right are saying that those numbers are inflated. You know,
Really.
anything they
Tell
don't
that
like,
to
they
people
call it
that are
they call it a
losing their
lie.
lives.
They call it a
Tell
lie.
that to those family
I was
members.
talking to somebody just several months ago, and they said, I said, the China's numbers are going down, and they said, well, China's probably lying about those numbers. I said, well, we could be lying about these numbers here. I mean, so you're going to trust? You think China's lying, but you think the numbers on our side are not lying. We could be lying. We don't. You just don't know. So you just have to go and use some common sense and say this makes sense to me that this is a respiratory disease, and you can get it by people with whether it's people breathing on you, droplets, or any of those sorts of things. So a
Right.
mask works. There was a meme I saw which was really great. He said if two guys are standing next to it and they're naked, and one guy starts to pee, he's going to get to pee on the other guy. But if the other guy has pants on, the pee will only get on the other guy's pants. It won't get on him, but he might get some on him. But if both guys have pants on and the other one guy pees, it's not going to get on the other guy. So it's like that. So if you both have mask on, you've got very little chance of it spreading. So masks have to work. It only makes sense. But just thinking that we don't need this is just insane. But that's where
It
we've gone as a
is.
country.
It is.
Right.
I
And you
couldn't
made a
think of
very
that
good
word
point about
droplet.
the mass is that people in this country think they're all or nothing, right? It either works or it doesn't work. And I'm like, okay, you've obviously never heard of the concept of risk mitigation,
Right.
right? The whole reason we wear seatbelts is because it lowers our risk of
Risk
a fatal
mitigation. Yeah.
accident. It does not 100% protects you from a fatal accident, but it dramatically lowers your risk of getting in a fatal accident. And everybody knows that's beneficial, right?
Mhm.
Everyone knows that that's a something that we should do. And it's the same thing with the mass. The data, if you look at the meta-analysis, show that yes, they work in a sense of it's a risk mitigation technique. It decreases your chance of spreading the disease wearing a mask. And if two people are wearing a mask, it decreases the chance that either one of them spreads it
Right.
and that either one of them gets it. And so that's the thing. We need to not think about this as, well, what's the benefit for me
Mhm.
instead of what's the benefit for us as a whole? Because what benefits us as a whole is a
Mhm.
functioning economy, is being social, is a return to normalcy sooner. I think everybody wants that, but then they're looking at a 5 minute inconvenience because where you can be
Yes.
wearing a mask to the grocery
Right.
store or shopping or whatever, a 10-minute inconvenience to them is taking away all
Their
of their
life.
freedom and all of their rights.
Yes.
And next
Yes.
you're going to take away my guns. And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
where did you extrapolate? Like what your
Yeah.
logic there
Yeah.
is
Where'd you get all
crazy.
that from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's a minor inconvenience. All it is right now is a minor
Yeah.
inconvenience. It's a minor inconvenience.
That's all
And
it is.
and I keep saying, had we shut this thing down in March, February, March timeframe, 30 days. And when you talk about shutdown, a shutdown doesn't mean everybody hunkers down and nobody goes anywhere. So many people can work from home now. I worked from home before I retired. I worked from home for probably 15 years. Both my sons are working from home. So many people can work from home. My wife works from home most of it, 2 weeks out of the month, and goes into the office 2 weeks out of the month. So many people can work from home. Then you have your first responders. They have to be out there. They have to be out there, but they've got protective equipment on. All you're shutting down is retail things like malls, close proximity sorts of things like barbershops and beauty shops and nail salons and things like that.
Those
It's
things
not the
that are not essential.
it's not the entire country that's shut down. I would be willing to bet somewhere around 70% of people would still have some way to perform some sort of work. Your gardener can still come and do his work at your house. Construction workers can still work on the roads. They can still work building houses. There's so many people that can continue working. It's just those close proximity and those, again, the malls, large groups of people. Shut those down. That's all you're shutting down. And yeah, there's going to be a financial hit, but you take the hit. You take the hit and you get it over with, and then things are back to
Because it's
normal.
not as great as the hit that we're
And then you
dealing
have
with
things like
now.
the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program for small businesses, and you help them through it, and you're done. This dicking around for a year is why we're in this situation right now. And guess what? We're still taking the hit. We're still
Yeah,
taking the
we're
financial hit.
still taking the hit. Okay, we're still taking the hit. We're still having to dance around this and wonder what's going to happen. And now they've rushed through the vaccine and nobody wants to take it. One person has bit the dust from the vaccine. Other people, they're advertising every day for somebody to take the vaccine. They're asking people to come in and take the vaccine. But had things been done the right way to mitigate all of this, then we would not even be in this spot. We would not be in this place. But people just have to have it their way. They just have to have it their way, and they don't want to be inconvenienced at all. And I've seen folks I work for the school district, and I've seen people who are having a heck of a time because they have to take care of their own kids. They don't want to take care of their own kids. They didn't even know they had kids until now. And it is a challenge. It is crazy. And I talk to principals or some administrator every day. And every day they're talking about the parents that say, please help me. The parents, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. You didn't know you had kids? No, they didn't know this. And all of this because people can't be inconvenienced. They cannot be inconvenienced for 5 minutes. They just can't. So it is absolutely insane. It is just so insane. And the more we see this, it's just we got to get past it. We've got to get past it. Now, is the mayor of Houston still, what is his name?
Mayor Turner?
Turner.
Yes.
He's still the mayor.
Yes.
Okay, good. Very good. What is he saying about all of this, COVID and voting?
That's actually something I haven't paid attention to in the last couple of days. Um, I know that as what we talked about, we're really excited about the voter turnout and the enthusiasm. As far as I know, the cases of COVID upticking hasn't been enough to really flag the major news outlets' radar because they've been
Really?
so focused on the election. Because it's not a dramatic increase, but it's just a little bit of an uptick, and that's kind of
Mm.
what we'd expected heading into cooler winter months, and especially with the shortening of the daylight hours in the day.
So has the weather changed drastically there?
It's gotten a little bit colder, and by a little bit colder, I mean anything below 80 to us is cold.
That's cold, really? Yeah, I guess
Yeah,
it
oh
is.
yeah.
Anything below 80 is cold to me too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, okay.
So we've been
So
down
the
at night in the
news,
low 40s and the high 30s. So, but it's been nice. I was ready for some cool weather.
Hmm.
it's the low 40s.
Yeah, but during the
Real?
day,
Do you guys have you guys turned on the heat yet? Or are you still walking through there into
yeah,
that
I
icicles?
I'm married to the energy Nazi, so no,
So no heat yet.
no heat yet. Nope. And during
Well,
the day it warms up. So
wow. Dr. Harris, uh, is your wife an energy Nazi?
Um, no, she likes to wear sweaters and stuff like that all the time. So she actually likes to keep it a little bit colder. So we're just opening windows and everything.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my. Yeah, and it can get really cold in Houston. It gets really cold in Houston. It
It can.
ices
Yeah, we can drop
over.
into the 30s. We haven't gotten there yet this year.
Yeah, but you're going to get there. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was